Welcome to the bold analysis. Kenya Kwanza, led by President Ruto, is facing a tough litmus test on the security of the country following the weekend arrests. Reports of President's crisis meeting with security chiefs emerge days after what is seen as a clear fallout between the Interior Security CS Kipchumba Murkomen and the NIS boss Nordin Haji, and consequently, the intel around prominent lawyers, activists who were ejected from Tanzania, paints a very grey picture on intelligence lapses. What exactly happened? And what is the threat profile of the activists that are ejected there? And in this podcast, I want to promise you that take some time and look into this, because I've done a good work that I promise you. And as I always say, here we don't just hype. We do very good research. And that is why you need to subscribe to the channel. Subscription is absolutely free. There is no money going to be deducted from your account, but the beauty of it is when you subscribe to this channel, when we publish a video, you'll be getting notifications. And I want to say shout out and very good thank you to Michael Njau. Yes, there is Michael Njau and Betty Rafima. Yes, and Betty Rafima, I received your coffee. Thank you. And they've told me, Kevin, it's because of the good research, and I want to thank you for that. Now, over the weekend, 3 high-profile leaks emerged, and the search warrant on Natembeya residents, and I would want us to look at these 3 high-profile, not 3, rather 4 high-profile leaks. The search warrant on Natembeya's residence leaked on the opposition camp on Sunday midday, and consequently, the State House team were rattled by how Rigathi and Kalonzo team got wind of that search warrant, and it gave them political fodder and since they took the opportunity to charge the masses against the state. Remember the Sunday evening, the former deputy president was in Murang'a saying that if Natembeya is arrested, then they are going to close the roads. But I don't know why someone is worried about this leak. If there is a search warrant, I want to believe it is procured from a court. And if it is procured from a court, then it's a judge. Then there is a way it is served. So that is something that comes. And there is no obligation. Many times, such warrants are normally implemented without even serving the person on the other end. The second one was how the police that were supposed to arrest Rigathi-Gachagua allegedly are the ones that alerted him of the same plan and aided him to evade the arrest. I did explain to you that after the Murang'a rally, when Rigathi team got wind of this plan, they decided to swap the car and even change route and did not go to the home the same day. And in his own statement, he's explained what exactly happened and what he thought maybe they wanted to do. To this end, someone will really get worried. One of the most interesting ones, and I think if you've been following the political developments, you understand, Rigathi-Gachagua have said twice. He said the first during last Friday on Obina show, and again repeated it during Murang'a rally, Murang'a event, that, and he was pointing an accusing finger at the head of state over what he termed as grabbing of land from Ngong Forest, so that the contractor who is doing Talanta, is it Talanta Hela, to construct an hotel, as a reward for that turned out something around that. And Rigathi made this statement. It was a high profile one.
Hiyo hapo Gong Road, Gong Forest, Senator Nyoto. Jana nilipoongea, rais ndiye anataka kuchukua 5 acres hapo Gong Forest, ajenge hoteli na anajengewa na ile watu wanajenga stadium ile ya Talanta Hela, ndio isafu hiyo stadium. Saa ile niliongea, akapiga simu kwa watu ya KFS akasimamisha kidogo. So wewe rais, usijaribu kurudi kwa hiyo msitu, tutakuanika tena. Si ndio?
Now let me tell you, to date, someone will wonder what really has happened. And there is information that I saw that probably there was some work that was going on and that stopped since Rigathi-Natembeya released that information. Since the former deputy president raised such a high-profile allegation against the state, at least even if you cannot respond to everything, but this one needed a response from the government. The Ministry of Environment, led by Deborah Mulongo, where the minister that is bestowed with protecting or rather conserving forest, including Gong Forest, is tight-lipped on this matter. Neither is the Ministry of Land that is headed by Alice Wahome. If there were people who could respond and even make a clarification, not even the government spokesperson, Isaac Mwaura, who gave during his weekly press briefings to the country, was able to comment on this matter. And sometimes when alluded and you don't respond, silence means probably that is the true position. Because if there is a contrary to so, the public expects an explanation from the duty bearers. The other issue is this. They told you there are 4 leaks. The other one is the high-profile activist delegation to Tanzania to witness Tundu Lissu court appearance over the treason charges he was facing. The opposition party, the opposition leader Tundu Lissu from Tanzania, was actually detained by Samia Suluhu. And Tanzanian authorities were forced to deport Martha Karua and 3 lawyers on Saturday back to Kenya. And then, I think that was on Sunday. Then on Monday, Willy Mutunga, the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, Boniface Mwangi, human rights activist, Hanifa, and a host of other leaders that were there, and some leaders from civil society organization, were also ejected from Tanzania. But interestingly, all of them were taken to some chamber, for some interrogation chamber. Remember, even on Sunday night, Boniface Mwangi alluded to the fact that there were some armed security officers that wanted to forcefully get into his room and he refused to open. So this is happening, and one of the things then coming is William Ruto is combing through what is the danger profile, and one of the questions emerging is what brought the unity of the opposition and civil society trooping to support, to stand in solidarity with Tundu Lissu, and who exactly is the financiers? I saw a statement from Suluhu on this, and this is telling you that even the move to eject them from Tanzania was actually was supported by Kenya.
Tumeanza kuona mtiririko au mwenendo wa wanaharakati ndani ya region yetu hii kuanza kuvamia na kuingilia mambo yetu huku. Sasa kama kwao wameshadhibitiwa, wasije kutuharibia huku. Tusitowe nafasi. Walishaharibu kwao, walishavuruga kwao. Nchi iliyobaki haijaharibika. Watu wako na usalama na amani na utulivu ni hapa kwetu. Kuna majaribio kadhaa. Niwaombe sana vyombo vya ulinzi na usalama na nyinyi wasimamizi wa sera zetu nje kutoa nafasi kwa watovu wa adabu wa nchi nyingine kuja kutovuka hapa kwetu. Hapana. Nimeona klipu kadhaa za kunisema niko bias na nini. Nalofanya ni kulinda nchi yangu na ndio wajibu niliopewa. Kwa hiyo hatutatoa nafasi kwa kiumbe yoyote kuja kutuvurugia hapa, awe yupo ndani au anatoka nje. Hatutatoa hiyo nafasi.
So the question here is, and one thing they're also looking at, who allowed, who is financing. Remember, it's only Maraga who was allowed to get and attended that court session. So the president is looking at these factors, because then what is the intelligence lapse? If these people are not even needed in Tanzania, then why were they cleared even from Kenya to go there? Why were they cleared from the immigration department? So these questions emerge, and I believe, but of course there is a question of free movement in East Africa, and there is a treaty that allows that. And Tanzania, it's true, Tanzania is in breach of the treaty. Remember, they are facing an election, and while we can complain, but Kenya, we are way better compared to our neighbors. Yeah, our neighbors are still backward in terms of what we are bad, yes, but our neighbors could be the worst. What are the factors under the National Security Council that is at consideration at the moment? I would want you to listen to this part, because this is the gist of this analysis. You can miss anything, but this part, don't miss. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 factors that are on table, and probably I believe that through this we will get to understand what's in stake. There was a storm on NIS funding. Budget policy statements are supposed to be read in Parliament when Parliament resumes from recess. And a few days ago, the NIS boss, for the first time, appeared before a parliamentary committee, and in their demand, or their lobbying for more funding to the NIS, to the spy body, they went to the breadth of exposing the sorry state of security equipments. However, this move probably rattled President Ruto, and what we saw later is Murkomen dismissing the statements from Nordin Haji. But if I would want you to just have a soundbite of Haji appearing in Parliament.
Except maybe from Tanzania. Every other one, they are threats. If you look at Uganda, you have the Karamajogs, you have the different tribes coming into Kenya to undertake cattle rustling. They have encroached in some of our lands and our territory. In South Sudan, the insecurity that is there, the proliferation of small arms, every other day we have to face that. In Ethiopia, as you know, there is the Oromo Liberation Army. They are occupying part of our territory, and we are forced to deal with them. But if you look at the kind of equipment that we have as a security sector, it is really wanting. And I think as a country we need to decide whether we are serious and whether we want to ensure that we are giving the security that Kenyans deserve.
He made it clear. Now, the NIS is one body, is the spy body that works, I don't know whether I say in silo or in a high level of secrecy, and not very good audit is normally done, but this cuts across security dockets. However, having come from the events of 2024, where their names were dragged on the abductions and all that, this is an opportunity. I don't think they can get the sympathy from the people to even talk about that. Now, we are talking about the security apparatus of the country are outdated, are not in good state. But as the Kenyan people, remember what happened in June 2024, there are really a clique of political analysts or observers who saw that there was a lot of intelligence lapse. Yes. I still, to date, if you ask me a real assessment of the events, I still don't understand to date why MPs had to vote on finance bill when the streets were already swelling in protest. And let me not go beyond that. Now, this could have maybe causing security intelligence compromises. Now, the second issue at stake is the anger effect of arresting opposition leaders. And first, I want to speak of the leaks. You know, Rigathi-Gachagua was in the system for 2 years. Even before that, he worked in the security docket. Same to Natembeya. So the whole thing about the arrest first has been bought by the media. The media has given it coverage. And through that, the public have an understanding and the public has reacted. The protest, 3 protests now, I'm told 4, there was, I'm told Larry, I saw Githurai, Madira, there were some characters also in Kibera and Trans Nzoia, 5 areas. Now, why this is a big assessment? After the events of what happened in Natembeya's gate, we are told, and I've seen a report from DCI, that they are pursuing a high. They have initiated investigations on allegedly some people who tried to obstruct justice. And let me just read it so that I bring my point home. Obstruction of EACC officers. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations has initiated a thorough investigation into violent incident that occurred earlier today, during which Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission officers were unlawfully obstructed while carrying out their official duties in Trans Nzoia County. The EACC officers were acting on duly obtained search warrants to investigate allegations of irregular procurement and fictitious payments amounting to 1.4 billion by Trans Nzoia County government that occurred during the financial year 2022-2023 and 2024-2025. The searches targeted the residence and the offices of Governor George Natembeya, along with 4 other individuals implicated in the case. Now, one of the person that is on target there is Eugene Wamalwa. And if you read the corridors, you remember he was the high-profile leader who was there. And there were some, although of course there were some reports, those reports were dominating social spaces, that he was on the radar. But let me put it this way. First, the fact that the arrest of leaders, the way it is being handled, is even eroding its own essence. For example, the President William Ruto made a decision, and he said, after coming to power, that is going to give AG and the NPS National Police Service their own budget. And through that, they were supposed to have autonomy. But here's the situation where members of the executive are the ones going to public and threatening that we are going to arrest so-and-so. Murkomen and Kindiki on Sunday, in speaking separate events, were saying the Kenya is not above the law, and were saying we can arrest. Now that is where the problem is. And then, so the whole thing doesn't look like a police operation. It looks, and of course it is, but then you outrightly show the public that it's an order from above. So I believe the NPS have, and the DCI, they have platforms and they have leaders who can speak on their behalf. But the way these things are done doesn't really come out well. Do you know Nelson Koech, the Belgut Member of Parliament, was in Citizen TV on Monday morning. And here is his soundbite, casually really talking about how confirming and saying the way they're going to arrest Rigathi.
Let me first hear from Honorable Koech here, because you're saying that it's actually late that Rigathi-Gachagua has not been arrested. So why haven't you?
First, let me say that when he talks about rigging of election. It's not Rigathi Gachagua is not a threat to anyone. No, number one, unless he overturns his impeachment, it stands now. He cannot run for any office. It's not a statement that Rigathi Gachagua was issuing in vain. It is a statement that is loaded. It is a statement of plans that he has. Rigathi Gachagua, as we are talking right now, including a few of members of parliament, are about to be charged for what happened last year on 25th of June. The invasion of parliament and the chaos after. The architect includes Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And when he issues another statement, it is not taken lightly, because this is someone who has the capability of causing chaos, not by any power that he has, but through his tongue. He has a very, very poisonous tongue. And if he is not charged, then he believes that he's above the law. We all must submit to the law, like I said initially, Sam. 2007 is something that, like, and Malala is saying, we must have to remind ourselves, like the Holocaust. It is perfectly okay, but do not use the scenario of 2007 to blackmail and threaten Kenyans. Okay?
We want to rig elections.
Rig elections against. Let me tell you, Sam.
Sorry, what's the threat here?
No, he's blackmailing. When he says the threat is real. When he says 2027 is going to be even worse than 2007, that is a huge threat.
But there's a condition.
Yeah, how will you... No, do you know what these people are doing? They want to bastardize the IEBC commissioners, the nominees. They just do not want, they are uncomfortable with the nominees, they are uncomfortable with the names. The process of constituting IEBC is not complete. It is in the final phase. It is coming to Parliament before JLA committee. And that is why they are uncomfortable with it. They won't say it, but they are uncomfortable with it.
These are kind of the things that makes people see, and I think I mentioned it in my previous video, that when the arrest is made like, is announced by politicians, like they're seeing it, it's discussed in some WhatsApp group, you know, in some event, some church rally, then that erodes the whole essence of that arrest. And I think they really need to look at it well. Now, the state has lost the information war on the public court. And it's in my view that more arrest is actually going to escalate an already a bad situation. You cannot arrest Rigathi on that issue of election rigging, because I think, no need of playing more videos. I've played several videos where when you talk to people, the public is saying, sisi kitu tunasema ni election ikuwe free and fair. So Rigathi was making a precautionary that if this doesn't, the only thing is he used a wrong example. You know, he used a wrong example by saying post-election violence was a Christmas party. I want to agree that was a bit too harsh. And I would want to ask, so if you would have said that if election is rigged, then it will be like 2017. Will that still be bitter? Will that still be better? And so that information what they've lost, and when they arrest together, then people they're going to lose that discussion. Now, the other factor is the daring suicidal public. I want you to look at these photos. These are photos of people vandalizing and breaking and, you know, burning, deflating the tires of DCI vehicles. The anger that we've seen citizens exhibit by ripping off state officers, state vehicles, point to a people who are hopeless, ready to die, and for sure, we are staring at igniting a civil disobedience when we could actually avoid. Anyone living in this country, unless he's lying to himself or rather pretending, will tell you that the public, or rather the ordinary citizens, are so bitter with the leadership that they will fall for any messiah, notwithstanding the position. When a country is in such it is in a bad taste and it is not wise to use state machinery. I want to explain that point. That's my second last point. And I know some of you will not like it, like what I'm going to say next, but that is the truth. When you talk to 2-3 people, you know, make this challenge. Hata ukiwa unatembea town or your colleague pale kwa ofisi, unaweza songesha kiti, just talk to someone, whisper. Tuchukue Rigathi ama tuchukue Matiang'i. You will, when just do this challenge, you realize, watasema Rigathi hapana. Now, what am I saying? It is not that Rigathi is the best option for the country. When you whisper, people say, no, Rigathi, no. Wacha Rigathi asesimame. But they want Rigathi in the mix. So, but what has happened? Rigathi Gachagua has gotten fodder and has successfully portrayed William Ruto as the worst devil. That he's even now looking better. That is it. Number 2, the public is in demand, in high emotions to change regime, that in this situation they can fall for anyone. And that is why I was telling someone, yes, one of our subscribers, I told you. Truth be told, Rigathi Gachagua is not the best option. But how about if he becomes an option? Yes. We don't want to agree this. You know, you look at the way Matiang'is are behaving, you look at the way the Kalonzos are lukewarm. The country might actually realize that the only person to remove Ruto is that Rigathi. I told you what I was going to say next was not going to be nice for you. Now, the last aspect is this. Rigathi Gachagua is unstoppable. And arresting him is actually playing to the gallery and is playing to his trap. Portraying him as a threat to security and stability of the country must come with an action. So the more the more you continue saying, this guy is bad, is this way, what the public will ask yourself, kama unasema hii ni mbaya, mbona usimshike? Mbona usifanye hii? And his most powerful tool is the media traction. Why media traction? Because he has his tongue. In fact, kama watu walikuwa nadhani, hey, Rigathi, if there is something called political messaging, ya kuhit opponent on, I'm telling you. And by the way, my honest assessment here is this. Rigathi is so bitter with the president, and his strong point is how to attack Ruto, that he can't articulate a policy well, or rather, he can't defend why he needs to be elected. And that is why people know that attacking Ruto is to convince the public to change the regime. But in terms of who to choose, you need someone else to explain to the people that in this opposition coalition, this is what we stand for. Remember, he was with William Ruto, so many times it doesn't come out well. But ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Let's meet in the next tomorrow, the 20th of May. Oh, already it's 20th. I'm shooting this video at 2:30 a.m. Saa 8 ya usiku. So already it's 2. Asanteni, tuonane kesho bana.